People, I'm going to have to apologize for this week's recording. Turns out that since we've been using Skype, I've been having to use a different audio program that I'm not used to, and I didn't set something right. And therefore, Carlisle's mic is going to come out sounding great. I, on the other hand, am going to sound like I'm in the middle of a big echoey tin can. On the bright side, since we're going to have to be using Skype more, it's a good thing that I make these mistakes and get them out the way so that they won't happen again. And while this is by no means the condition I would like for you to listen to these podcasts in, it shouldn't take away from the conversation as long as you know I screwed up ahead of time. So therefore, bear with us this week, and next week, I promise that we'll be back to having some good sound. Thanks.
Live from the Spill Studios, located behind a liquor store off the I-35 interchange, it's time once again for a couple of cold ones with Corey and Carl.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing well, sir. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing just fine. I'm sitting up here drinking my Bailey's cream because cash rules everything around me.
I do love Bailey's.
Bailey's is good. Let me give you a hint. This is not for the kids out there. This is for the grown folk who are listening. If you ever order Bailey's, people usually say, "I want Bailey's on the rocks." Don't get it with ice. Get it just Bailey's plain, and then ask for some water on the rocks, and then you just put yourself a couple of ice cubes in there. Because what they do at these places is they'll give you a little glass just completely full of ice, and then they'll give you just a splash of Bailey's, and it's like a swallow. You got to sip it because if you take a gulp, it's gone.
Or you can do what I do and just buy it by the bottle and have it at home and sit around and drink it there where, you pay $20 and you get to keep the bottle.
I got that too. That's what I'm drinking out of right now. But usually when I'm out, I want a little something soft, but that'll get me kind of feeling good. And that's my method now. I learned the hard way. Just a little alcoholic advice for you people who like to drink out there. So anyway, how you doing all right, man?
I'm doing well. I'm a little worn out right now. So I just got back from the gym and sitting here sipping my coffee and ready to do this.
It's cold here in town, man.
Oh, I love it. It's cold and wet. No, dude, seriously. I mean, that's my favorite kind of weather. Is where it's cold, it's wet, it's dreary. It's just so beautiful outside, and it's perfect snuggling weather indoors. You kick back. Like me and my wife, we kicked back tonight, and we had dinner, and we watched some episodes of Mad Men, and just cuddled on the couch and just had a good time with the nice weather, and it was just really great. It's so much better than the 100+ degree temperatures we had all fucking summer.
Yeah, no, I wasn't laughing at you. I like this kind of weather too. And you said cold and wet, just reminded me of some girls that went out with. But this is nice weather, right?
Isn't that frigid and dry? Isn't that like a regular winter day? It's humidity 0, just chilly.
Hey man, that's
spread their legs. The air condition, the heater kicks in.
If your woman is cold, is frigid and dry, that's what cooking oil is for. It does wonders. Man, let me say though, it is very nice.
Cooking oil.
Yeah,
jeez,
I'm too.
That's ghetto.
Man, sometimes I just don't have KY on the spot, ready for.
Why don't you? Every guy should have KY at all times.
I'll run out, and I just don't get to the store in time. Because it has all kind of. And you'd be surprised, KY.
You use more when you're by yourself than you do when you're with your lady. Like your lady only needs a little touch, and you're like, boom, and magically that bottle disappears quickly.
KY has a multitude of uses. I mean, run out of WD-40.
I can think of two, but
besides the obvious, you run out of WD-40. You need to grease down a squeaky thing. You do that. I'll put a little bit of my Bailey's right here. It has a multitude of uses. KY is all right, but
is that a BK&Y?
What?
They call that a BK&Y.
And it's delicious, man. Let me say that I do like this kind of weather. I thought that I've been bragging to people saying I'm a Texas boy. I love it hot. I don't care how hot it gets here. I'm ready for it. And then this cold weather came through, and I'm like, wow, this is why I stay in Austin, man, because we actually have seasons. We might not have them in a long period of time, but we have seasons.
We do. We just don't have a fall. We have 3 seasons here. We have spring, which is short. We have summer, and then we have winter.
We have 1 day of fall. We got that 1 day.
1 to 4. 1 to 4. We'll get maybe if we're lucky, we'll get a week of fall where it'll actually be fall like. But really, it's like what happened now, man. Last week it was 90 fucking degrees every fucking day. What was it today? 57.
Was it 57?
Yeah.
Damn, I thought it was colder. No wonder people were looking at me like I was crazy. I was dressed up like an Eskimo, so I'm not used to cold weather.
Really? For 57 degrees, they don't
Yes.
even put a coat on.
That was me, man. I looked like an Eskimo about to go fishing on the ice. Once the cold weather hits, it's like when people that try to drive here. A little thing people should know about Texas. If you ever come here and visit and it's on a winter day when it's froze over, stay in the house because we do not know how to handle icy weather. There are at least 7 people guaranteed to die if it ices over. That's a sad, tragic.
Well, at first, don't go out in the first few hours. After the first few hours, Texans are all indoors. Nobody's driving anywhere, and it's perfectly safe.
Yeah, wait for those 7 people to die and then go out for a little bit.
Then the next day, they all go to video. True story.
I believe you. I wasn't doubting you. So, hey, man, on to some real true stories. It don't get any truer than the top 5.
The top 5 brought to you by Spill.
Yes, sir. Brought to you by Spill.com. And we always start out the same way every week with the
Bring it on out the number 5.
There you go.
Bring it on out the number
I think
5.
that's the first time you ever hit the gospel vibe. I like that.
I'm feeling gospel today, man.
Really? You must have went to church this morning.
No, but I think I watched a Tyler Perry movie or two, I guess. Maybe I watched it in my sleep. I don't remember them because the plots were all the same. But
If you saw a Tyler Perry movie, you went to church.
you went to church. It was an hour and a half of church that they charge you. You didn't put in the collection plate. You gave it to people up front.
Yeah, you gave it to Tyler Perry. But hey, Matt, check this out. The number 5 movie
Is
Paranormal Activity.
really that hit number 5?
That hit number 5. The movie that cost roughly $10,000 to make, the little micro movie, has made $7 million over this weekend with a total gross of $8.3 million. So I think it's safe to say that them ghosts made a profit.
Oh yeah. Now, granted, this has been sitting. This is a weird story. If you don't know much about Paranormal Activity, there's a good chance that if you don't have Twitter, you've never even heard of this movie.
Yeah.
This is the first real Twitter sensation. Officially now, that's what this is. There are other people that have talked about it. No, this is it, because what it was is they opened it in limited markets, and a bunch of guys who saw it at various film festivals, mostly Fantastic Fest, was a lot of the big pushers. They went and constantly tweeted about, hey, check it out. If you want to see this movie, if you want it to come to your town, go to this website and tell them you want it in your town. And if enough people in your town say they want it, they'll open it at a theater there. Well, that got so popular that they said, okay, if 1 million people request it, we'll open it wide nationwide. And 1 million people did this weekend. So this weekend was still the limited release. What's happening very shortly is it's going to open wide everywhere, and everyone's going to get a chance to see this. This movie was made about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it sat on the shelf at Paramount for 2 years.
Now, they were fixing it then. They did reshoots on this movie of an ending that was suggested by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg came up with a new ending for the film. There's a lot of debate as to which ending's better, the original or this one, from people who've seen them both. But this is doing really well. People are really freaked out by this movie. I haven't talked to anybody who's disliked it yet. Everybody liked it, at the very least. If they didn't love it, they liked it. Everybody thinks it's scary.
I'm one of those people who I thought that the original ending, I think it was the original ending, was a little better, but I'm not opposed.
Did you see the original ending, or have you just heard about it?
I've just heard about the ending. And from what I hear, and I've been reading up on the ending and to see how accurate it is, and everybody has said the same thing about the ending. And without having seen it, I kind of like the ending of what they had better. Spielberg came in and gave it his own ending. You can kind of tell that is a Spielberg ending, but nevertheless, I got to give this movie praise for being one of those films where you and I and everybody else always talk about how horror movies are putting too much out there, showing you way too much. And this is a movie that has gone back to the psychological horror. You don't see anything in this movie. You don't see any kind of creature at all.
Right on.
Yeah, there you go.
I still haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it. Just drop off. I have no idea.
Wait a minute. Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it at all. I missed the screening because I was told that it was opening the very next day at the Draft House, and it turns out that was erroneous. It was. I had skipped the screening to go see Rec 2 because I'm like, oh well, I'll catch Paranormal Activity in one of my holes during the festival this week, and they're like, oh yeah, no, it's actually not opening here at the Draft House this weekend. So it just opened here, and I'm going to go check it out.
It's a praiseworthy film. Don't believe the hype about it being the scariest horror
movie of all time.
No. That's kind of bullshit. Maybe for some people it is. If you've seen like one horror movie before, and that was that, it was Paranormal Activity. But for some people it might be. I can't really argue that for how people think. You know, what you do is what you get. And for me though, when I saw it, I was like, well, it's good and it's definitely effective, and it's definitely a movie that should get a lot of attention for what is, because it did so much with so little. Scariest movie ever? That's a good marketing ploy, but nah. So that's,
right up.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the number 4 movie. Number 4. Where have you been? All my life. Number 4.
Yeah.
Number 4 movie.
We got a double right here for number 4. We got 2 movies.
Are they tied?
You could say that. They would be Toy Story and Toy Story 2 in 3D.
In 3D.
They brought in...
In stereo,
this weekend, they brought in $7.7 million. The total for these 2 movies, which are being re-released, they've been out for a while, except this time they're out in 3D. The total for a couple of movies that have been re-released is $22.7 million. Not bad for 2 movies that a lot of people already have at home on their DVD shelf.
Yeah, not bad. Now, granted, you don't have them in 3D or on the big screen.
That's why I said like in 3D. Yeah. Everything, the craze right now is 3D. We're probably going to talk about that later in the show as a topic. I was thinking about this, which brings us to another 3D animated feature for number 3.
Number 3 movie of the week.
Would you like to take a guess, sir?
If it's in 3D and it's a comedy, animated film, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
No.
Damn.
Yes, it is Cloudy with a Chance
of Meatballs. There we go.
To be contrary.
I don't have the list in front of me. I'm literally just guessing. So
a flat $12 million this weekend, with a gross total of 96.3. It's reaching a $100 million mark, and the movie is reportedly a flat $100 million to make. So it could be on its way to making somewhat of a profit itself.
Even in the box office, even so.
Yeah, and this is the movie that has turned me around, man. I used to always hate when they took simple books, children's books especially, and expanded them into an hour and a half, 2-hour movie when the books themselves were probably only 5 pages, 6 pages, 7 pages. And with this movie, they actually took a book and reworked it totally. This movie is hardly like the book at all. And it was still very entertaining, man, which makes me look forward to Where the Wild Things Are.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm hearing some really interesting things coming off of that. I can't wait to see how we feel about it. I have a feeling we're going to be really divisive on that one.
Were you talking about Where the Wild Things Are?
Yeah.
Why do you think we're going to be divisive?
Because everything that I've been hearing is very divisive. Like, people absolutely really love it, and other people do not. And it's all across the map. It isn't this kind of person likes it and this kind of person doesn't. It's just all over the place. So it's one of those movies I'm anticipating that we may not all be on the same page on.
That's true. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's hard to say if a director is telling the truth when they say that, oh, I'm satisfied with what they did with my project. When an author picks a director, because Mari Sindak is the one that personally chose Spike Jonze, and Spike Jonze, for people who don't know, big video director. Some of his famous videos are Buddy Holly for Weezer and Praise Me. Sabotage for the Beastie Boys. You know,
it's a sabotage.
It's a sabotage. I used to love that video. Yeah, he used to make a lot of videos that were just kind of just no special effects, just out there, just raw, and they look like a guy who was pretty much just playing around with a camera. And then he made some videos that were subtle with special effects, but they were amazing. And Buddy Holly's probably one of his most mainstream videos, because he took Weezer and put them in an episode of Happy Days, and it was cool at the time.
The Sabotage video really made a much larger dent, though. That was the one that really kind of caught on.
Yeah, and that was a real simple video.
That was them running around in fucking bad mustaches and clothing and beating the crap out of each other like a 70s cop show. It was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I love that video, man. And so Mari Sindak, after seeing, I believe it was Being John Malkovich, maybe it was what was it? What was the movie that he did with Nicolas Cage, Spike Jonze?
Oh, an adaptation.
Adaptation. Maybe it was that. I don't know. He saw one of those two movies and said, "I want that director for this project." And so when you hear Maurice Sendak say that, "Oh, I'm very satisfied with this film," you kind of feel like he's telling the truth because he worked real close with Spike Jonze and saying like, "Look, I know that this is a 12-page book and we have to expand it. So, let's go ahead and keep the essence of it." And he kind of gave his seal of approval. So I don't know, man. I have a bias for Spike Jonze, so I have a feeling that we might be on the same page when we see it. But let's go to number 2.
Before we get there, it's time for the number 2 movie of the week.
Now, you don't have it in front of you. We're at the top 2. Would you like to take a guess at what number 2 is?
No. I know what the number 1 movie is.
Okay.
I have no idea what the number 2 movie is.
Zombieland.
Zombieland!
Wow.
Zombieland.
A lot of even numbers this week. An even $15 million it took this week in Zombieland. Down from $25 million that it took last week. But that's all right. The movie's already making a profit here. It has totaled $47.8 million, and the movie had a budget of $23.6. So this movie's done very well.
And they're apparently talking about a sequel already.
I would love a sequel to this. They have characters that I would love to see again.
Yeah, and the way the film is it's a perfect setup. It's something you could actually do as a comedy trilogy and do well if you develop things enough. But yeah, I would definitely like to see a sequel to this.
Somebody even said that they would like to see a series of Zombieland, and I wouldn't mind that myself. I don't know if they could capture the same comedy and the same humor that they do with the movie, depending on who they do it for. But I thought, like, with The Walking Dead coming out, which is going to be a very violent, depressing series about zombies, I thought, like, something, a comedy zombie series might be a good alternative.
Yeah, that's possible. Although I really would like to see it kept as, rated R films, because that's where it belongs.
Yeah. Woody Harrelson and what's that Jewish kid that he was with in the movie?
Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Man, they worked so well together in that movie. I was like, damn, who would have thought these two could have had such great chemistry on screen?
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, it's funny because I just this week got in the Natural Born Killers director's cut and was watching Woody Harrelson. And there's a lot of the materials on this are the same materials that were released on video in the 90s with the 1996 director's cut. And there's interesting videos with, a young Woody Harrelson where he's talking about being plucked out of general obscurity by Oliver Stone. And him saying, "Oliver, I've done 2 things: White Men Can't Jump and Cheers. What makes you think that I can play a killer?" And he's like, "I see it in your eyes. I could see." And he's like, well, okay. And sure enough, ever since then, we've all known him with, we totally buy him as a psychopath.
Oh yeah, no, Woody Harrelson scares me. Even though he's talking all that hippie, pot smoking, left wing kind of shit, I still think he's a guy that has like a lot of fucking guns in his basement. He's ready to pull some hillbilly redneck shit on somebody. I mean, he scares me for some reason.
He's watching Glenn Beck and smoking pot. It's a weird dichotomy.
I remember watching him in that fucking Will Smith movie where he played a gentle blind guy. And I was like, Will Smith, you better watch that motherfucker, man. He's going to hit you with that blind man's cane when you ain't looking.
7 pounds?
7 pounds, yeah. But, I mean, you're right, man.
I lost about 7 pounds watching that movie.
Yeah, that movie fucking. I did not like that movie, man. I lost 7 pounds from boredom.
My problem was that with that movie in particular was somebody told me the ending, and once you know the whole movie's about building up to the ending, and once you know it, it's so blatantly obvious, and it's just such a mind-numbing experience watching it through it if you know the ending. It's just so. I imagine I may have liked it better had I not known and figured it out, but yeah, it was a little.
Man, let me ask you something. Didn't Woody Harrelson's dad wasn't he in prison for killing somebody?
Yeah. I think he was I can't remember if he was a hired killer or if it was just that he killed somebody. But yeah, his dad was a murderer and went to prison.
Yeah, somebody's going to put that up, the story about Woody Harrelson's dad. Yeah, let us know, people, because I just remember that was a big story at the time, because Woody Harrelson was almost, maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like at the time it was like, hey, I was born to play this
No,
part.
you're right. In fact, Woody Harrelson mentioned that in the in the interviews.
I got some killer blood in me. I was born for this role. So
Well, that's actually what Oliver Stone told him. Was that fact? No, seriously.
I'm just thinking about Woody Harrelson actually going out and killing somebody. When they had him on TV, he's like, "Well, Oliver Stone told me to do it. He said I was a killer, so I said fuck it, sure." But
what was funny about the extras on that is Woody Harrelson talking about all the other cast members and talking about how it was weird being the sanest person on a set, and especially that he was the sanest person on that set because he was working with Juliette Lewis and Tom Sizemore and and Robert Downey Jr., who does all of his interviews while playing with his fucking heroin spoon, and he's clearly tweaking at the moment.
Jesus Christ, man!
I mean, it's literally when Woody Harrelson is the sanest person on the set, something's fucking wrong. And of course, the director's Oliver Stone, who worked on the film. While he was envisioning things for the film, he and his producer were driving around the desert popping fucking mushrooms. I mean, this.
Oh, yeah,
when Woody Harrelson is the sanest person on the set, you know it's got to be an interesting set.
Those fuckers were crazy, man. Oliver Stone I'm convinced he's out of his fucking mind, but man,
he is out of his fucking mind.
Tom Sizemore, that dude lost his fucking head, man. He did like some pornography shit for a while.
Well, he was. He likes beating up hookers, is what his thing.
No, he was doing drugs and made like he actually had. Now I don't know if it was a web series or if it was something that he was releasing as a DVD and it came out on the web, but I think he had a website. Tom Sizemore is crazy and likes to fuck hookers. I don't know what the website was called, but Tom Sizemore actually did like some. What's that?
I said .com.
.com. And that fool. He was actually, after this is after his fame. This is after we considered Tom Sizemore to be a great actor. I mean, this is after fucking Saving Private Ryan. And now he's on
Pearl Harbor.
And Pearl Harbor and all kind of, well, Pearl Harbor, that's fucking pornography of a different kind. But he's on the internet fucking chicks, hookers, doing all kind of drugs. And it's like, you're fucking Tom Sizemore, man. Really? Do you have to go talk about slumming it? Jesus Christ.
Well, and he gave Michael Madsen a really bad name for doing that.
Well, what's that?
It's a Michael Madsen, Tom Sizemore joke. Never mind.
Man. Was Michael Madsen beating up hookers and doing drugs too?
No, they both look fucking alike, and everybody confuses them.
Do people confuse them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I didn't think about that. So, wow.
Yeah, that was the one good joke in in Pauly Shore is Dead.
Uh-huh.
The one good joke was he had both Michael Madsen and Tom Sizemore in different parts of the film, and people walk up and go, "Hey, you're Tom Sizemore." No, I'm actually Michael Madsen. And then, someone goes up to Tom Sizemore and goes, "Oh my God, it's Michael Madsen, the guy from Reservoir Dogs." And I found that really funny that those guys both, were in on that joke and had fun with it. Nothing else in the film was fucking funny. But that brings...
wait a minute. That's the name of that website that Tom Sizemore had. I'm Michael Madsen. I like to fuck hookers and do drugs, and I'm fucking crazy. .com. Hey, let's go to number one.
The number one film of the week.
Oh, shit. Your boy has done it again, man, with some mediocre shit.
My boy? Who's my boy?
Vince Vaughn.
How is he my boy?
I don't know. I just like to say that.
I've only hung out with the guy twice. He's not my boy.
I'm sorry. Okay. You're his boy. Then. I don't know who's who.
I'm his bitch. That's exactly what it is.
Couples Retreat, man.
Couples Retreat.
Brought in, $35.3 million, man.
It made a fuck ton of money is what it did.
Yeah, it did. And I know you like that movie.
No, I was very middle of the road. I liked it more than you guys did. I was not a huge fan of it, but the thing is it did make me laugh, and when I laughed really hard. But the problem is there's long patches where I didn't laugh. But you guys were bagging all over it, and I kind of liked it. But I even kind of liked it is a bit of a stretch because there are patches in there where I'm just like, yeah, we need to get past this and get back to more of the funny. But there's 3 or 4 really solid comedy set pieces in that movie.
Yeah, I like Vince Vaughn, man. It's just, God damn, that movie it just seemed like they weren't even trying.
I disagree. I mean, there's come on, the masturbation scene was really fucking funny.
That was funny. I mean, but it's a masturbation joke. I mean, how hard do you have to try for that? It was funny, though.
Well, the setup was really good because you know what's going to happen before anything obvious has happened. It was such a keyed into guy moments. Like when he starts yelling to his wife in the shower people start giggling because guys know what the fuck's coming. And it's a nice slow build to that joke, and that was really good. Then, of course, the Guitar Hero sequence is good, and the that whole Western thing after that was clever. The scene in the sauna where the three guys are talking about the highlight reel was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, let me see. That's the thing. That's like about 4 scenes in there that I'm laughing at, and I'm laughing mostly at the side characters. Because I tell you that masturbation scene. What made it funny is that they had a guy come in there who seemed like a real person. Who seemed like they brought in a real guy who couldn't speak English that well. Because the guy came in and caught him masturbating. Like, sorry, I see nothing.
I saw nothing.
Yeah,
nothing was happening. Nothing was going on. Yes, sir. Nothing was going on.
That dude, I think it was Jon Favreau in that scene. I think he was really masturbating. They just got on camera because that dude looked real uncomfortable. That foreign guy who was bringing in that shit. He was looking like.
I love how when you don't think a movie and someone does something good in it, you're like, oh, that had to happen by accident.
Yeah,
like no. It was actually a good spot of acting in there.
I'm just saying. Hey, look, I'm giving praise to the guy who played that character because he looked like he was really uncomfortable. Maybe he just doesn't like being in masturbation scenes. I don't know, but it was good. Good bit of acting on that guy. That guy's a genius. He should be a rising star. And put him in every masturbation movie out there. That guy'll be famous. Oh,
there are long periods of like, oh God, make it stop. Or just mediocrity, and that's what drags the movie down. And I think it's worth a watch. I think it's worth checking out, and it's funny enough to work. But overall, I don't think it's a success.
Yeah, like I said, if I saw it on TV and I wasn't paying attention, I wasn't like sitting there having to sit there and watch it, I'd probably glance over it every now and then and be like, oh, hey, that's funny. That's why I gave it a rental. But Vince Vaughn is cool, man. Apparently people like the guy. But see, here's the thing. Vince Vaughn, he's got a good thing going because he's a great personality, and people love to see Vince Vaughn. I mean, that guy can talk a mile a minute and make you laugh so hard, but he makes comedies that you could argue 2 things here. They're middle of the road or they're easily accessible. I say middle of the road, and that's a good thing these days if you're just in it for the money, man.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not that I hate Vince Vaughn. I actually like Vince Vaughn, and who can hate Jon Favreau? He made Iron Man. He took Iron Man and made it great.
Well, Favreau's done a lot of great. I mean, he wrote Swingers. He made Iron Man. I like Zathura. I like all of his films that he's directed. I like all of his stuff quite a bit. But Iron Man was the culmination of everything he was able to do. And when he had a real budget and a really solid property, man, he knocked that out of the park. So I'm looking forward to the next thing. But, I can't really fault him for pulling a McConaughey and going off to a desert island with their friends for a few months and shooting a movie. But I don't think it was worth it. Like I said in my written review, I think this is going to be that movie that Peter Billingsley, any of us that are fans of Peter Billingsley, when he finally does the film that he's capable of making, this is going to be that film that we kind of excuse away and shrug off. It's like, well, yeah, he made Couples Retreat, but it was his first film. What the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah, and see, that's why I said that movie, they weren't even trying. Because those guys, when they get around each other, because most of the people in that movie, they're friends. And they go
all of the main guys are Billingsley, Vaughn, and Favreau have been working together since the early '90s, and then of course Faison Love. Faison Love met Favreau on the set of the Replacements.
The Replacements, yeah.
And they became best friends. And Faison Love has been in everything Favreau has done since then in some way, shape, or form. Except, I don't think he had an appearance in Iron Man.
I was about to say, I didn't. You can't miss that big motherfucker. He was
actually. He was such a great actor. We didn't even realize he was Rhodey.
Well, hold on. I thought somebody was sending me a question. No, Faison Love, that big motherfucker. Did you see him with his shirt off in that movie? He looked like a double scoop giant chocolate ice cream cone. I was like, Jesus Christ,
bro's big. What the fuck are you gonna do? I mean,
I'm just gonna say, goddamn.
He's always been big. It's not like that's a surprise.
What you say? He was Rhodey in Iron Man.
I made that joke about a minute ago, but yeah, and he's such a great actor that we didn't even recognize him as Rhodey.
Wow, he did a great Terrence Howard, man. Shit. That big motherfucker. No, if he was
smacking girls around, making them use baby wipes, all that stuff.
Shit, if he was in Iron Man, you definitely would have saw his big black ass in there. I will say, man, that those guys, they work together so well that their friends are comfortable around each other. They all got chemistry on and off camera, and that shit is like you said. That was a vacation, and it's that's why I'm thinking, wow, you guys took a paid vacation, and we got you being friends. That's great. It's funny to see you guys hang out, but fuck, man, do we have to see a movie about this shit? But apparently everybody did want to see it, and what can I say? The movie made some money. They got a vacation and got paid $1 million to take it. So fuck it. Can you imagine that, man? Being you're a star, and you just go somewhere to shoot a movie just because you want to take a vacation. I'm not saying that they did that, but can you imagine if they did that? I mean, the same thing with Ocean's 11. They just go to different countries and just hang out and get paid to do it.
Yeah, I can actually imagine that. I was actually thinking about that tonight, and that it's like, I remember back when I graduated high school, I was paid $4.25 an hour to make subs in a sub shop, and tonight I'm getting paid to sit in front of my computer and bullshit about movies.
Yeah, but it ain't. Well, I guess we could do it on the beach these days with with internet technology.
Could. I'm on the beach. I just didn't want to tell you.
Oh, really?
I'm sitting here getting oiled up by two
boys,
two
nice.
Tahiti babies.
Cabana boys.
Yeah,
Mr. Carlisle,
Pepe and Jorge.
You gonna pull a John Favreau and start masturbating in front of them? They just kind of sneak off. Sorry, sir. We see nothing. Sorry,
No. This is a tension release massage.
No, boys. Why don't you stay? I hear there's a happy ending to this story. No, please don't make us stay, please. Well, speaking of which, I guess that's true because I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks, man. I'm gonna try to keep up with you guys while I'm gone.
Yeah, but you're not.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Well, we're still gonna do a cold one. I will probably we have the Amsterdam spill party coming up, and I'm gonna go to that. See what.
And by we, you mean you are going to the Amsterdam.
No, I said I'm going to that. I said we have the Amsterdam spill party coming up. I say I am going, and I'm see what these fucking European spill members are up to, and damn, that Bailey's is getting to me. And I'm gonna try to do a couple of cold ones from where I am. I mean, shit, we're doing this on Skype right now. There's no reason why I cannot do that in Amsterdam and everywhere else I go. So
I agree. And I hope we're able to do it. I would like to. I'd like to be in on it next week and hear about the Amsterdam spill party and all that kind of craziness.
Yeah, no, I'm going to call you. I mean, you know me. Today, we have a schedule that we have to try to keep up. And I don't like skimping on shows. I don't like not putting up anything. I mean, I can be drunk out of my mind and wasted. If we are scheduled to have a show, I'm going to try and be professional and put one up so that people aren't waiting. Every now and then we slip because there'll be something happening. I mean, we can't always be there every week.
We have lives.
Yeah. You know, like when Fantastic...
Shit happens.
Yeah, it does. When Fantastic Fest was going on, I think there was one time that it was a day late, and then there was one time I had to... Cyrus had to come in, but we work around things. We're trying to be professional. We even starting to get some help with the site, man. We're going to start getting our shit together with the audio podcast, the audio reviews. That's going to start getting on categories, be easier to categorize and be easier to search and find, and no more of these things disappearing and off into nowhere where you can't find them anymore. Some cool shit happening. So hopefully we will be able to reach the professionalism that you people require of us. Thank you very much. The great Corey has spoken. Hello, sir.
Hey, I'm here. Yeah, I was busy listening to the great Corey has spoken.
The great Corey has spoken.
The trash is spoken. Yeah. Wow, that was digging deep, wasn't it? Jesus Christ. I haven't seen that show in 20 fucking years.
Oh, man. Oh, you talking about Fraggle Rock, man.
Of course I'm talking about Fraggle Rock.
Down in Fraggle Rock, they are making a Fraggle Rock movie.
Because that's what needed to happen.
You know what? I'm thinking the same thing myself. I'm like, shit, what the fuck y'all gonna do with a Fraggle Rock movie? What are the Fraggles gonna be in all CG? I mean, because that's what they do these days. I mean, do kids even want to see Muppets anymore?
Oh, hell yes. Everybody grew up on Muppets. Muppets equals childhood. That's just the way it works. And at this point, there are no active generations that, didn't have Muppets. I mean, my parents had Muppets. Their grandkids have Muppets.
Yeah, they had you. You're a Muppet, aren't you? No,
I'm half Muppet on my mother's side. I don't like to talk about it, but her father was a Muppet and her mother was not. So
that's an interesting point, man. I guess every generation now has had some sort of Muppet in their lives.
Yeah, they're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Sesame Street this year.
40 years, man. Can you believe that? Sesame Street is fucking 40 years.
Yeah. So if you're under the age of 50, you grew up watching Sesame Street. So everybody has that thing with Muppets, and nobody thinks of Kermit as a puppet. Kermit is a character. He's a real thing to us, Big Bird. It was the weirdest thing. I saw How It Works the other day of how they work Big Bird, and it shattered my childhood. It was like, no! I always wanted. Big Bird is not a guy in a suit with his arm up going to the head. No, that's not how that works. He's Big fucking Bird, and his best friend's Mr. Snuffleupagus, who is the world's greatest opium hallucination, and all as well. Oh, he totally is. I mean, come on. Hi, Bird.
Oh, yeah.
It's me, Snuffleupagus.
Man, no, you make a valid point right there. It is the most disturbing thing to see a hand going up a Muppet's ass or waist or whatever, because we don't see that. They're real people to us, and when we see that, that's a fucking horror movie.
It's kind of like Disneyland. It's when you're on the grounds of Disneyland and you're in one of the suits, you're not allowed to take your hat off.
Oh yeah,
you can't. And there was a family that had to go behind the scenes because of a medical emergency, and several of the people took off their heads and apparently traumatized their children, and so they sued Disney for it because their children were traumatized by all these headless Disney characters.
Oh yeah, no, that's like seeing to see a Muppet lying on the ground on his back with no legs. You might as well have seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre where they saw somebody in half, because that shit is disturbing. It's like, no, that thing is real. Don't show me that. You just killed a Muppet right now.
It's not like we don't understand that clearly these are all Muppets and that they're foam and yada yada, but it's that illusion that's tied to our childhood that we want to believe that it's real. It's like Johnny Five. I was thinking about this the other day. Remember the movie Short Circuit?
Oh yeah, Johnny Five alive.
Johnny Five is alive. No, disassemble. They took him around on all the talk shows and had him out, and they didn't have people talking about how they built the robot. They had the robot come out and take questions. And I remember as a kid thinking, oh my God, Johnny Five is real. That's so fucking cool. And, a part of me knew that he was remote controlled, but I didn't want to acknowledge that because I wanted to buy into that illusion that there really was an artificially intelligent robot named Johnny Five. And that's how we are about Kermit and Miss Piggy. And so if they do a Fraggle movie and they don't do it with actual Muppets, they're not doing it, with puppetry, then there's no fucking reason to see it. There just isn't. I cannot imagine a 3D Fraggle Rock movie. It's why I cannot wait for them finally to come out with the Dark Crystal sequel.
Oh yeah,
because that's being done all with puppetry, and everybody's like, oh, it keeps getting put off and put off. It's like every single marionette film ever made has taken years longer than they expected. Listen to Trey Parker and Matt Stone and the shitty work that they did on that one. That took them 18 months. They were like, oh, we'll be in and out in a couple of months, and the puppeteers were like, no.
No, that shit is hard.
And it took forever.
By the way, talk about a mind fuck. It really fucked with my head when I found out that Big Bird was the same voice as Oscar the Grouch.
Why did you do that to me?
I know. I
didn't know that.
Yeah,
and I can pick out all the Frank Oz's, because the Frank Oz characters are all this. Grover and Yoda are clearly the same fucking dude, but Big Bird and Oscar. Thanks for that.
No.
That's what I needed.
Right now, your mind is being sucked into a vortex. You don't know what the hell is going on. You might as well be doing LSD right now because that fucks with your head. Yeah, a guy named Carol Spinney. When I've learned
Next thing you're going to tell me that Bert and Ernie are gay.
I won't tell you that then. Although
Excellent.
There was an episode, and I swear to God,
hold up there. Let's not go there.
No, and I'm being serious. I'm not making a joke here. There was an episode before we had so many jokes about homosexuality, and before homosexuality was so prevalent in society that they had, and kids were innocent, we weren't even thinking that way. They had an episode of Sesame Street where I think Ernie got into the bathtub with Bert. Now he didn't get in there and start giving him a hand job or jerking him off or trying to have sex with him. It was innocent, but it was one of those things where they would not show that today at all. But back then,
because that would really be they're gay.
Yeah.
And they're very conscious of that now because ever since the joke started, they've come out and said, no, look, they're not gay. They're just roommates.
There were so many rumors, and there were a lot of urban legends going around about Ernie and Bert too. They had, one of them was that they were gay and that they actually had them come out to teach kids about homosexuality because they felt like kids were, well, because Sesame Street was so liberal because it was on PBS, and that more kids have homosexual parents today, so are relatives. So they said, okay, well, let's finally come out and say Ernie and Bert are gay, which is not true. And I think they want to teach kids about AIDS, so they actually had either the rumor was Big Bird. No, I'm not lying. It was an urban
No, I
legend
remember
going on.
this.
It was either Bert died from AIDS or Big Bird died from AIDS.
I thought I heard that they were discussing one of the human characters dying from that, just like when the episode where Mr. Hooper dies.
Oh yeah, but Mr. Hooper actually died.
Right,
So
but they were
had to
talking
talk
about getting
about
rid of. There was talk that was going to happen, and the rumor surrounding it was that there was what you were saying, that one of the Muppets would have AIDS, and they came out and said, no, that's not happening.
Yeah, but it was already a rumor going around that one of those two Muppets had AIDS and that they were dead, and it actually got me one day. I was like, yeah, it didn't get me because I wanted to look it up, and you should have seen me on the internet trying to find out if Big Bird had died from AIDS. And I was like, well, what the fuck was he doing? Was he using unclean needles and shit? I mean, did Sesame Street actually go down that quick? It was like fucking Crackhead Row or something, Skid Row. But I was like, there's no way they could kill off any of these Muppets with AIDS. Why would anybody kill off fucking Big Bird with AIDS? I mean, serve that motherfucker for Thanksgiving as a big turkey.
I think what it is that's what it is. It was one of the characters in South Africa. On the South African version of the show.
You were right about that. That character actually does have AIDS.
And that was what it was. Is that rumor kind of leaked out with, and everybody thought it was the main one, and they're like, no, in South Africa, because in Africa, I think, God, there's a really absurd rate. It's like literally something like 1 in 4, I want to say, of one particular country, people have AIDS. It's really an absurd number of people that have AIDS.
In South Africa, you put on a condom to take a piss if you're in a public restroom. It is crazy there.
Yeah, it's. AIDS. So everybody there knows somebody with AIDS, and so that's one of those things that they had to, you have to educate kids on, and you really have to educate kids on how to, be relatively safe, because otherwise you're going to get AIDS there.
Yeah, they actually did a show on PBS about them bringing Sesame Street to South Africa, and that was one of the controversies about that show, giving a character AIDS. So yeah, you're right about that. Thanks, man. That's I was gonna say that's cool, but I don't wish.
God bless my memory finally kicking in. It's like, oh yeah, there's the coffee. Hello.
Yeah. No, I don't wish AIDS on any Muppets out there. I was gonna say that was cool, but I don't want Muppets having AIDS and shit. But yeah, that's pretty cool knowing that they want to make another Dark Crystal movie. Jim Henson. The reason why I bring up the Dark Crystal because Jim Henson, who was responsible for the Muppets, he created the Muppets before there was even Sesame Street. He directed the Dark Crystal, which when he showed it to a room full of executives, they just looked at him with silence and got up and walked out.
It's so brilliant.
Yeah,
I showed that to my nephews a few years ago. I had to watch them for a day, and they were at my place. And my youngest nephew, he was I think 5 at the time, and he was just yelling. He's like, "I want to watch Harry Potter. I want to watch Harry Potter. I want to watch Harry Potter." And I'm like, "No, you can't watch Harry Potter." He wanted to watch it because they were advertising it on TV because it was the network premiere of the first Harry Potter. And my other nephew's like, "Yeah, let's watch Harry Potter." I'm like, "No, you know what? I'm going to show you the Dark Crystal." And I'm like, "No, we don't want the Dark Crystal." And I sat them down and I watched for the first 20 minutes. They were bitching and moaning that they wanted to watch Harry Potter, and then they shut up. And they watched the whole thing. And then when they got home, they demanded that they were like, "I want to watch Dark Crystal. I want to watch Dark Crystal. I want to watch." My sister was like, What are you talking about, the Dark Crystal? Who showed you the Dark Crystal?" And they're like, Uncle Carlisle did. And they're like, "Oh," and then she realized, she's like, "Oh yeah, we used to watch that when we were kids." So she went out and bought it, and sure enough, now they watch it all the time. It's one of their favorite movies.
No, Dark Crystal is one of those things everybody has grown up with. I go to bars where the Dark Crystal's playing in the background now. These fucking hipster bars, they like all this retro shit. But the Dark Crystal's badass, man. I remember even Leonard Nimoy. They had a show on Nickelodeon called Lights, Camera, Action, and it was hosted by Leonard Nimoy. And the Dark Crystal shit, that did something to Leonard Nimoy, man, because they did a cover story on the Dark Crystal, and Leonard Nimoy came back and he was serious about that shit. He's like, go see it. It is not a puppet show. It is a movie. Watch the Dark Crystal. Of course, nobody went to go see it, and it kind of became a hit later on down the line. It became a classic.
That's the thing, is it belongs in the greatest cinema year of all time, 1982. If you guys haven't ever read my top 10 list of 82, you have to go check that out in the blog section, because that year is just fucking incredible. And Dark Crystal is one of those movies. It's so fucking good.
Well, it was a good year for fantasy. Fantasy didn't really do that well at the theater, but there was a lot of fantasy movies coming out.
Well, there was a lot of fantasy, science fiction, horror. It was the genre year of all time. There is no year that comes close to that. And if you name some of the greatest genre films of all time, you're gonna name some films from 82. You're talking Blade Runner, you're talking Tron, Dark Crystal, Conan the Barbarian, Poltergeist, E.T. These are all films that came out this one year. Even the terrible, crappy films are spectacularly awesome, like Q, the Winged Serpent, and Megaforce.
Oh, Megaforce!
I love that.
I remember Megaforce.
Like a Megaforce.
that fucking cheap ass motorcycle movie.
Yes, it was
I remember
starring Barry Bostwick. That movie fucking kicks ass. It's so terrible. You can find the whole thing on YouTube. When you're done with this and find nothing else that amuses you on Spill, go on YouTube and type in Megaforce and watch all 9 parts of Megaforce. You will thank me for it. It's so beautifully bad. Knock back a couple of brews and enjoy it. It's so fucking terrible, but it's so great. I love
Megaforce, I caught that on HBO a few times. I mean, it's a cheap ass action kind of. I don't know if it's a science fiction or post-apocalyptic motorcycle movie, but
it's science fiction. And the thing is that it was a kids movie. It was designed for kids. Like if you look, Google the poster, and there's this really great poster of Barry Bostwick on the front, and on the bottom it says, "Hey kids, don't forget to stop by the movie theater to pick up your Megaforce kit with like bike clicker and sew on patch." And it was.
I just remember my friend was in a band when we were in high school, and they were getting scammed by this guy. I mean, they didn't get scammed because they knew the guy was full of shit, but the guy was really trying to be their manager, and I think he was trying to rip them off, but he told them to go to a record shop, to go to a music store if they want to get some microphones or wires or whatever. And he said, "Oh yeah, they know me up there." And he said, I think his band was called Megaforce, maybe, and he didn't know that these guys knew about this movie. And he said, "Yeah, when you go up there, mention my name and they'll give you the Megaforce discount." They were like, "Hey man, we know what Megaforce is. It's a shitty fucking movie. You're gonna have us go to a record store and ask for a discount based on the shitty fucking movie. Get out of here with that bullshit."
Because that discount is like a Megaforce. Seriously, while you're at it, while you're Googling Megaforce and all that, go to YouTube and check out the video. In fact, I think it's in our video section, because I think I uploaded it for a Megaforce thing, a story that I did on Barack Obama. Because he actually at one point, whether he intended it or not, quoted Megaforce and said, what we need is deeds, not words, which is the slogan of Megaforce. And I was like, holy shit, Barack Obama's going to start Megaforce. That's going to be fucking awesome. Because Megaforce was, you kids don't realize this because you're too young, but Megaforce was a top secret military project designed to fight terrorism with motorcycles, really cool mullets, and colored smoke. Oh, yeah. And it was genius because nothing confuses terrorists like gay bikers. Oh my God, I love this movie so much. It's so terrible.
I think Barack Obama funded his campaign with the Megaforce discount. So yeah, he loves it. I meant to tell you before we got off the subject of Jim Henson, I'll just bring this up real quick and move on. If you want to see Jim Henson before Sesame Street, he made in things that he did that were not as sweet as the Muppets that we know today. Go and look at on YouTube some of the commercials that he made back in the 60s, the Wilkins coffee commercials and the LaChoy chow mein noodle commercials. And I was up one night with Mental Virgin online, and I was showing her all these videos, and she was kind of freaked out by them. Because
also the first season of Saturday Night Live, Jim Henson did a whole series of really weird adult themed Muppet sequences.
Oh, those little space creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a weird cat. In fact, I don't know if it's on YouTube. I know they show it at the Alamo Drafthouse every once in a while, but there's like one of Jim Henson's college art films is in there, and it's the weirdest fucking thing you've ever seen in your life.
Oh,
and just
yeah.
every once in a while, Jim Henson shows up, and it's like, Jesus Christ, that's a tall motherfucker, and then it just goes on being weird again. So.
Oh yeah, no, he had a wicked sense of humor, man. Some of those Wilkins Coffee commercials, they actually show them partying down with Muppets just like thrown on the floor, and so they didn't give a shit back then. They were just crazy. But yeah, no, Jim Henson, man, long ass legacy. And he died. When did he die? Back in 88?
No, he died in the early 90s.
No. He
died on the same day as Sammy Davis Jr.
The early 90s? No, he died in the 80s. Like he 88, 87.
May 16th, 1990.
Oh, so it was 1990 then?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I knew it wasn't into the 90s, but
God bless Wikipedia. Unless somebody's having an argument over it and don't know when he died. But he died the same day as Sammy Davis Jr.
And he died as he had what, like pneumonia or something like that?
Yeah, he died of pneumonia.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's something he could have taken care of kind of early. Yeah,
Thanks for bringing us down, man.
Sorry, man. Well, hey, the Muppets live on. Maybe not as good, but they do live on.
Well, we've got about 10 minutes left. So what do you say we take some questions?
Let's do that, man.
All right.
Please.
From Richard Kershaw X. We're for those of you unfamiliar, we're taking some questions from Twitter. If you want to go ahead and question us on Twitter, wait for me to go ahead and give the signal on Sunday night that I'm taking questions, and then come in and ask a question, and I'll sift through them, find the good ones, and me and Corey will answer them. You can find my Twitter at www.twitter.com/massaworm. All right. So Richard Kershaw X asks, I hear a rumor that the Godzilla reboot is being developed in Hollywood. Do you think a modern remake of Gojira will work today?
Didn't we answer this before?
We didn't. Maybe you answered it on Let's Do This.
Okay, well, go ahead. I have answered this in some form or another, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely think it can work, especially today. But only if they don't. There's two ways you can do it. You could take it super hyper seriously. And if you do enough cool shit with it, you can make a cool movie. Although, really, I think the best way to do it is to make an ironic movie. The truth is, audiences accept ironic humor now. Tarantino's films are all kind of ironic humor at this point. I think you could actually make a solid, campy, fun film and have fun with Godzilla the way that it was always watched. Godzilla, the first film, was a serious monster movie, and everyone after that was kind of a satire of the first one. It really just was men in suit destroying plastic Tokyos. And that's what we love about it. So I think if they have fun with it, they can do it right. Or if they come up with something really great and do a super fucking cool, gritty, dark Godzilla movie, I think that could be cool. But I have perfect faith in this because it's being done over at Legendary. And those guys really have their heads on their shoulders.
Yeah, because we can sit up here and speculate what the movie will be like, or we could say what we like, and I don't know what they're doing over at Legendary, so I just know that they want to do a throwback to the original Godzilla, and they don't want to do any of this bullshit where they remade Godzilla to look like something that's a cross between a dog and a lizard or an iguana. No, let me tell you because ever since they made the remake of Godzilla, that Roland Emmerich movie, which I thought
Abortion.
Which I thought
God,
was
I fucking hate that
total
movie.
shitty movie. I mean, even if you took, it might even worked with the Godzilla that they had the rest of the movie not been so bad. I mean, just the parts without Godzilla were so terrible. But
the Jurassic Park sequence was embarrassing.
Oh, you're talking about with the baby Godzillas like raptors and shit?
Yes.
Yeah, that whole movie's fucking horrible, man. They had a cartoon that was closer to Godzilla using that version of Godzilla more
Godzuki.
Oh, I remember, man, Godzuki was awesome. But I'm talking about, they had the 70s Godzilla, but then they had the Godzilla in the 90s that was based on the movie. And that movie was actually, that cartoon series, it wasn't great, but it was actually a whole lot better than what they did with the movie. It was some kids who actually were able to summon Godzilla, kind of like they were in the old show, and they were able to like bring up a good Godzilla, and he actually helped them out and fight all kind of creatures. It was actually kind of a cool concept, kind of what you're talking about with what they're doing right now. But you know something, if I had my idea of a Godzilla movie, first of all, I wouldn't bring Godzilla to the city because that might be a little hard to accept, even though we like seeing him tear up buildings and shit. I would actually have people find an island, Monster Island, where these creatures, these giant monsters are there, and they're fighting each other. And we get like and I'm not saying make it cheesy, the rubber suits and whatnot. Let's see what they can do with CG monsters, or maybe a combination of practical effects, rubber suits, and CG. And
but that sounds too much like the plot to Jurassic Park.
Well, no. I mean, they're not going there and discovering like a dinosaur island. I mean, they're not dinosaurs. They're actually like a cross between. They don't know what they are, but they're giant creatures, and they're out there like fighting each other all day. I mean, it's kind of like Monster Island, which people love because we can see all the creatures that we love to see, like Mothra and Rodan and all those creatures that we love to see go at it, man. And they couldn't use King Kong, but maybe even a King Kong type creature. And then we get all the giant monsters that we love. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a part where we can kind of have them tearing up the city in some kind of way, maybe in a sequel. But yeah, I agree with you on the whole thing of like having something that I think they can do half and half, like a movie that is not serious, but they don't have to play it that way. They play it seriously, but it's still kind of tongue in cheek. And I think it'd be cool if they actually just put some kick-ass fight scenes in there. I would love to see that in a Godzilla movie and all the monsters that go with it. But that's me.
All right. So next question from Oskizzle. What movies or TV shows that are classified as girly do you enjoy? Do you actually enjoy? My answer is all of them. I'm clearly the girliest member of the crew. I love girly shit. I just do. I mean, I love manly shit too, but but I've got to say, if there's one like girly thing that's considered girly that I absolutely fucking love, like a retarded little kid, it's 10 Things I Hate About You. I love the shit out of that movie. It's just that and Love Actually. But Love Actually, really that's become a culty thing that has really grown year after year as people discover it, and it's starting to become something of a holiday classic. So I don't think just because it's really romantic, I don't think it qualifies as girly. But 10 Things I Hate About You is pretty fucking girly.
Okay, that's cool. See, I don't watch enough network television or primetime television to answer that in that area, but I do like girly things that are colorful and cartoony. For example, Dora the Explorer. I like.
You like Dora the Explorer?
Man, I will. Now, it's just not Dora the Explorer. I love watching children's television, and I love not just I'm not talking about Cartoon Network like Ben 10 and action shows like that. I'm talking about preschool, very innocent, just sweet, adorable children's shows, man. There's something about that appeals to me. And if I'm up early, like a lot of times I stay up at night and I'll go into the wee hours of the morning, and we're talking about like staying up till 9 or 10 in the morning, and I'll go to Nick Jr. I'll watch the Disney shows that come on at that hour, and I love those kind of things, man. Sometimes I'll watch Dora the Explorer. They had this show that came on the Disney Channel about, and I forgot the name of it, but it was this little girl who was a clown, and she lived in this clown world, and it was clearly a show for little girls, and I loved it, man. I love all kind of children's shows like that, and even the ones that are directed towards little kindergartner girls. That would be my thing. That's girly.
All right. Well, next question. Yeah. John the Mon 23 asks.
John the Mon.
What actor, actress, director did you think was going to be the next big thing, but ended up going nowhere?
The woman who did Girl Fight, I thought was going to go into some big things, and then she ended up directing Aeon Flux, and then recently she directed something that really wasn't all that great. I
have to say, Clifton Collins Jr.
Wait a minute, I thought they were saying female director.
No. What actor, actress, or director do you think was going to be the next big thing?
I just heard actress. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Clifton Collins Jr. Here's a guy that needs to be big. He's fantastic. He's such a great character actor. You've seen him in 5 different films this year alone. But even though some of them are really big films, you may not know who the guy is. Of course, he was the guy who loses a ball on Extract. He was in Sunshine Cleaning. He was the boss at the end of Crank 2, and his biggest film
he was in 187 with Samuel Jackson. He was
back in the 90s. But I'm talking about just this year. He was in Star Trek. He was Eric Bana's second in command. He's all over the place, and he's going to be he's coming out in Boondock Saints 2 here shortly.
Yes,
as one of the main characters. He's great. I met him back in 2001. He was in Rules of Attraction. He had just finished shooting a film called The Last Castle, which was Robert Redford film. It was going to be huge, which turned out to the marketing backfired on that movie in a bad way.
Which movie?
The Last Castle. Really great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, it's a great military prison film. Robert Redford, fantastic fucking film. It's Robert Redford, James Gandolfini. God, what's his name? Blanking on his name. Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I remember the movie. Some great there was some great acting in that movie, but that movie got ridiculous at the end.
No, those
prisoners
that movie
pulled
so
out
much.
a fucking. It's a movie where prisoners revolt. And I can understand like a prison riot that happens, and this happens in a military prison, and Clifton Collins Jr. is in it. But at the end, these motherfuckers pull out a catapult out of nowhere.
See, you're what you're doing is, first of all, you're spoiling a film that I know most of these people haven't seen that they should fucking see. Secondly, what they do, it totally makes sense. It totally works. It's actually it's a really great film. It's very underappreciated.
Leon and I was sitting there. We're like, where the fuck did they get that from? And it was insane.
What happened? Well, that's because you guys were probably half asleep through the film.
Should have been a better movie. Nah.
Anyhow, point is they done this in advance. The film's like you said, it's about a military prison, and there's a riot in it. And one of the set pieces in the film is raising the flag upside down. And so the marketing that they built up for months was pictures of the flag upside down and the tagline for the film in The Last Castle. Those go up, and then 9/11 happens. And all of a sudden, there was a huge backlash against their marketing campaign, and a lot of people started screaming about this unpatriotic film about a guy who tries to overthrow a military prison, and nobody wanted any of that. Film bombed, and after that, Collins Jr. had a few gigs, but nothing really huge. He had a couple cool scenes and a couple cool movies, but this year was really the year where he kind of has started to come back, but still nobody's noticing. He's someone I've really been pulling for a long time. Really nice guy, really talented actor, has done a really good job of shirking the stereotype roles that he's been offered. He'll turn down a film just based upon the fact that they want him to play the Vato again, and he really wants to play across the board. Like we saw in Extract. I mean, you look at all of his films this year, and every film is completely different. In Extract, he plays this redneck hick, and he plays a Romulan in Star Trek, and he plays this nice down home store owner in Sunshine Cleaning.
That fool looks like a Romulan in real life. You had to use too much makeup on him in there. No, you know what? You're right. Clifton Collins Jr. is an excellent underrated actor because, for the reason that you just said. He can play so many different roles of different types. I mean, like you mentioned, I've seen him play a gangbanger. I've seen him play a stuttering prisoner in a prison war camp. I've seen him playing like a hick.
You've seen Crank 2, right?
Oh yeah, when he was the
where he's the big greasy boss at the end.
Oh, he's the insane Vato type boss at the end of the movie. Yeah,
it's fucking hilarious.
He's a great actor, and I think he's one of those actors where look, there's some people who take anything and they get watered down. And then there's some people who are very picky about their roles. And if they are picky, they often suffer the price of not being that recognized. And I think there's a middle ground. I don't think he's actually accepted that middle ground, if you ask me. But nevertheless, one of our best actors out there. And I think he's going to get recognized one day.
I think he did this time around. I mean, come on, he did Star Trek. He did a huge, big budget film playing the second in command.
Yeah, but he's still a character actor in Star Trek. People, when you say Clifton Collins Jr., if you know who he is, you're even going to go back and be like, oh, that was him in that movie because he's under a lot of makeup. He's playing he's playing a supporting role and a very small supporting role too. He's not that recognizable.
Yeah. Well, I can't even speak tonight. We're going over time, so if you have an email you want to pull out of your email vault.
Sure. And by the way, that director I was talking about is Karen Kusama. She directed Jennifer's Body. I was trying to think of what she had done. I was like, she had done something. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought I was going to see big things from her after Girl Fight, and she's only done 2 kind of mediocre films after that. All right, let's see what we have here. There was a guy I was looking at earlier who's been trying to ask a question for weeks. Oh, Matthew Jacques. I'm going to go ahead and answer his question because he has been trying to have his question read.
Better be a good one.
He says, what is your personal favorite canon Disney film? Personally, I loved Hunchback of Notre Dame, for how it delves into dark, mature themes despite its G rating. Though honestly, I think Beauty and the Beast is the perfect representation of a Disney film, despite having a weak villain. I read this question because it caught my attention, simply for the reason that he mentions the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that movie, to me, is what is Disney at some of its darkest, and it works. But the fact that they took a Victor Hugo novel, which is extremely dark, extremely cynical, and not the happiest story in the world, and they tried to turn it into this children's movie, to me was ridiculous. And in the movie, over years, I loved it when I first saw it because I was like, wow, this is dark. And the judge in that movie, who was a priest in a Victor Hugo novel, they changed it around saying it wouldn't be controversial. That was actually one of their scariest characters, and that guy hardly did anything. I mean, that character was animated so greatly, and the acting in that animation was so well that I was like, wow, every time that character's on screen, I'm nervous. But then we have things like the gargoyles talk, and their names are Victor and Hugo, and you have a blonde soldier who comes in, and it seemed like at the end of the movie, Disney wanted to teach a message about something about love, harmony, or whatever. You know how Disney does. But at the end, it was still about a deformed guy who got no love, had to stand in a tower and talk to imaginary objects, while the blonde handsome guy, got the love. And thinking, what kind of fucking message is that? And Disney animators, a lot of them, they love their princes. Not princesses, but their princes. And they'll make some ridiculous themes around that. So
I fucking hate that movie so much. It's it's really indicative of what was going on at the time, in particular, where they took really great classic tales and then fucked with them to the point that they made them, they completely removed all meaning. I mean, the end of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the book, is them digging up Esmeralda's body. Because, at the time you only stayed in the cemetery for a certain amount of time.
She's hunting, they found a skeleton of the hunchback with her. And
a skeleton of the hunchback wrapped around her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the end of the book is the revelation that the hunchback loved her to the point that when she died, he snuck in and crawled into her casket to die with her and spend all eternity with her.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most profound, dark, depressing, awesome endings to a classic of all time. And they totally throw that out the window for this film. Another film at the time that I really hate is Anastasia, where they make Rasputin this evil sorcerer with a talking bat.
Well, that was a Fox film, actually. That wasn't Disney.
Yeah, no, I know it's not Disney, but it's from the same era. In fact, I think it might even be the same year or pretty close. But the Disney films that were about the same, Pocahontas.
Oh yeah.
Where they took a really ugly old guy and a 14-year-old Native American girl and made them about the same age and both good looking and tried to get around the whole pedophilia aspect of it. There's a lot of things that Disney did around then that I hated. But my two favorite Disney animated films of all time are, of course, Aladdin, because I'm a big Robin Williams fan, and Robin Williams was never better than he was in Aladdin. He was just spot on. And it's such a great film. It's so much fun. It's really solid. And then The Fox and the Hound. I'm a huge fan of The Fox and the Hound.
Yeah. When Walt Disney actually was involved and the studio was first starting out with their feature films, and before we when their fairy tales actually felt sincere. Those are some of my favorite movies. Not these days. I mean, I love some of the new generation of Disney films when they were rebooted. That whole Disney Golden Era, the new Disney Golden Era, where they had like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. I love those films, but I'm really that old school Disney guy. I mean, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That's the first full length animated feature, and I think it's an amazing feat. I mean, Disney pretty much proved with that movie that you could actually feel for characters that weren't there, that animated characters that weren't real. Pinocchio is a technical achievement. That is a marvel of a movie, and we as animators today would look back at that film and be totally amazed that they did this with no computer assistance at all. So it's so yeah, those are two of my favorite films. So anyway, that's it, man.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Well, I think it would be best to go out by saying good night, everybody.
Good night.